Hello everyone, welcome to Herlefeld for Farming Simulator 11, created by SourceWorks and Desperados93. We are chopping corn, silage here, and taking it to the BGA. Ooh, there's a little bottle out there. We're over here by the Autobahn, rushing by, and I believe this is our last field. We are also done with all the mod hoster comments, and as it turns out, I think I lived a couple of those in here. But be all that as it may, let's get this show on the road. It should have a memorized course here. Alright, it's ready to go. So here, we'll head over to the driver. I gotta say, when you're chopping corn, it really would be helpful to have a multiplayer session where you have someone else to help with it. It's kind of difficult to do it when you're on your own, as it requires you to either hire the silage chopper, or I think there's a trailer you can also put behind it, but I've never been able to remember just which trailer that is, so I always end up getting the wrong one, and it doesn't attach, and so I end up having to hire anyways. But I've learned in this particular field, and in some others, that just why so many people in the mod hoster comment section were complaining about all the collisions. You know, each of these trees, you know, were it not for some changes that I made, all these trees would have collisions. And frankly, there are some places when you're chopping the silage, kind of like I'm doing here, I don't know how you would do it if you couldn't just drive through the trees and be able to go around. As it is, you see there's a fence coming up here, and it's already difficult, and I'm just gonna show the cheat workaround, you know, when nobody's looking, that I'll kind of do in here. Actually, let me turn my lights on, see if we can see it. It's made difficult, you know, with these hard objects. So I know here, to turn around proper, I'll just kind of go in between the posts. Evidently the wire doesn't have collisions, and so I'll come at it that way. Whoop. Oh, don't want to hit it though. And yeah, missed a little spot. I don't think I'll be worried too much about it. This is probably the final strip I think we'll have out of here. Maybe not quite enough to fill up the BGA, but close enough. We have 2 full bunkers, and the third is almost full, and this will get most of the way, if not all of the way, in filling it. But I'm showing the field here kind of when it's in an easy spot, you know, to chop the corn. You know, I already went around the outer edge, and I had to do it like this, you know, with hiring. And when you got to drive through all these trees, it just kind of wrecks, you know, your suspension of reality, if you will. So, but anyway, except with one exception, this is the final field of corn. And other than the grass and that one other cornfield, there really aren't any other fields in here to harvest. So, I mean, this is going to kick us into fall, if you will. Oops, sorry, my mouse is giving me fits. There we go. Why don't we just haul this down the road, and we'll get it to our BGA. Actually, let me be proper here. I think the actual field entrance is over here. Just take it easy. And yeah, this is going to come out on the road. yeah, all these fence posts, they're everywhere, including down here. Oh shoot, I don't even know if I can make the, yeah, I'll make the bench just barely. So, you know, as people are tangling with all of those, and we have it easy, you know, I can pop through in between the fence posts, but when all the trees have collisions on it, you're kind of going to be stymied, because even going underneath, you know, kind of as we saw early on in one of the earlier episodes, these trees, you know, they will reach down and grab you as you attempt to go by. So, but anyway, I'm just glad I took the time to remove the tree collisions. You can look at them, but we can drive right through them. We just have the fence posts to contend with. All right, let me get my F1 menu on. As you can see, we have 2 bunkers full, and oh yeah, since the last episode, I swapped a script. Here, let me just kind of sit here and empty this out if I can. Does it go up to 360? I wonder. Maybe this... Oh, it's cutting me off at 350. Okay, I think it's full. And you'll notice it has compaction in here. Previously, I believe it was an older version of the script, and it didn't have the ability to compact it. You'll see we have that now, and I would note it is way quicker compacting it in here than it is, you know, for the DLC. Remember, this is a heady script, so I've just kind of found it fascinating to see what someone created before, you know, we had the DLC. And I know it's often a common accusation, if you will, to the Giants, you know, that they copy the idea. Well, they don't copy modders. I think it's alleged that they copy the ideas of modders. Well, I don't know if that's true. You know, I think it's a little disingenuous to say that. But anyway, suffice it to say, let me get this tractor off of here. I now got to figure out what to do with the silage in. Oh, hey, look at that. Huh. It waited till I got off, and then it automatically blanketed the silo. So, boy, I wasn't anticipating we'd end up filling all 3, but sure enough, each one holding, how much was it? 300 and some? Will it tell me again? No, it isn't. But it is going to allow me to uncover. You know, let me check this one over here. I don't know in the... Oh, it'll let me uncover it here too. Interesting. With the DLC, I know you're forced to wait for a while, you know, just like you would in real life. And even though I put in a new script in here by the same author, he had just updated it, not recently, by the way, this is a long time ago, but it was by the same person. He put the ability to compact it, but I don't think it forces you to wait. So I have a feeling we can go back over there and pretty much open the silos at will and start taking silage out. I'm pretty excited about that, as again, I want to see kind of how it works. And so, kind of like I was starting at the beginning, you know, some of the complaints, you know, that people have... Oh wait, I'm trying to go here. This is why I came over here. Yeah? Because I think there's a place I can dump it in here. So we've encountered some of the complaints folks have had. Alright, I can back up. We do it right here. Is that a separate? Nope, it's going to put it over there. I think this is only a storage place. So, let me close it up. Alright, let me head back to the farm. I'm going to put this somewheres. We'll need to bring up our silage chopper at some point. I wish I'd have put more over by where we hope to have some cows at some point, but alas, I just didn't do that. Now, somewhere in here, I also, because I mentioned I got one more field of corn. Oh, my silly header trailer is kind of going cattywampus. But as I was saying, we've encountered the problems, you know, with the collisions. The other problems, you know, that we read about a lot in, you know, the mod hoster notes have to do with the BGA itself. You know, people, they couldn't see it. You know, all they could see was the underlying, all they could see was the underlying, there was a lumber mill, I believe, there. Oh, shoot, dropped off the first part. Now, what did I do with my trailer? Do I have a trailer? Somewhere. I just gotta figure out where I left the silly thing. I put it over here. Nope. Alright, maybe it's back on... Who knows where I put it? Maybe it's out by the combine. You know, maybe we'll just go see real quick. Where's my combine? Is it 2? Nope. 3. Alright. Here we are. I don't know if I have a trailer out here or not. Here it is. I'm 68% full. But here's the problem. You know, when it comes to these collisions, look at all these fence posts. You have them along this entire edge. You have them along this entire edge. You have them along this entire edge. You have them along this whole edge. The only area that it is free of these fence posts is right at the field entrance, you know, which is down here and kind of up around the trees. However, we happen to take the collisions off of all the trees, so if we hadn't done that, this particular field would be a royal booger to harvest with the forage harvester. You know, I chose to find I brought the forage harvester over here. I did some in the middle, but I was running over. Remember that other mod I created to do tire damage? Well, I was damaging all the crop, you know, by running over it. And so I finally just gave up and I brought it in the combine and figured I would just harvest it as grain. Oops. Oh, I'm supposed to go in one. Oh, well. Let me get my pipe out. I have to watch here. I need to find my trailer. I don't remember where I put this silly thing to empty the combine and take care of the last field, but I wanted to show this one over here. This is the final, you know, cornfield, and there's, I mean, the map author chose to put, you know, fence posts around some fields. It seems like he tended to put them around the grass fields mainly. But then you'll have, you know, this particular field here where he chose to just kind of put it around the whole thing. Maybe it used to be grass and he turned it into an arable grain field. Don't really know, but it's I'm taking some notes in here, you know, in the future, because I've had difficulty on a few of the cornfields in particular, the way, like this one here, if you want to chop silage, there are certain fields that are going to be more conducive to it than others. You know, this one here, it just has way too many obstructions, and some of the fields that we have, you know, when it's wide open space, you know, then you can pretty well do what you want, you know, with anything, and it's a little bit easier to get around with a forage harvester than this one here. Well, now that we got it down to here, you could come in here and chop this but it's otherwise just difficult. Now, where did I go with my trailer? Do I happen to have it? Let me go see it out here. It's been a while since I've used this tractor. And if I can't find, no, that's the manure spreader. I can't remember if I drove over here. I'm trying to remember when you chop corn or silage for the cattle. I think this isn't the heady trigger. It's, well, maybe it is. Maybe it is heady trigger. Okay, so I just took, yeah, there's the edge of it. You know what? This is also I don't know that they have a standard silage bunker, kind of like they have. But anyway, this one is open. I will need to, at some point, come over here and remove the silage and get it over to the feed trough. So, the other thing I noticed, by the way, in Hetty's code is, at least in the new version, it has the possibility of being something other than silage. Let me just park this here. Land sakes alive, where did I put my trailer? I know I got one here. Did I put it in here? This is just terrible that I can't remember where I put my equipment. I would have thought I would have left it over here. Well, let me cycle through my equipment one more time. Here, trailer. Oh wait, there's one. No, the ad is going to pick up grass windrows. The ad isn't my trailer. Well, I gotta take this guy home at least, so maybe I'll take him back to the farm. Feel like a ditzel, but I don't know where I left my trailer. So maybe what I can do instead, I was thinking of trying to bring in the corn crop. Oh, see, yeah, this fence here is still hard object. Boy, it brings you up tight. So you can see why people would rather just have the collisions taken off. It's, the margin of error is tight enough in this environment. It's kind of, yeah, difficult to always see or tell. So let me park you right here in the shed. And here's the thing now. So we have all that silage down there at the BGA, and a key question is how do we get the silage out of the bunker and move it over to the hopper, where we need to put it in. And so, you start looking through what you have here. One of the first things, and I did this all off cam, I attempted to try to see out of the implements. One of the things I tried is this Lizard G920 wheel loader. Now, I think we've all used this with the DLC, and it works beautiful. You go in there, you can take it in big, full buckets or whatever, and it works like a charm. And I can't remember if you can dump it into trailers. Maybe you can. But what, I took the thing down there, and guess what? It doesn't work. And the reason I came to find out, in order to figure all this out, I had to dive into Hetty's Lua code. I think the fill type that goes into the front end loader here is different from the output that Hetty has. He calls it silo. It isn't silage. It's called silo. So this is, you know, an in-game wheel loader. I kind of think it even came with the DLC. And since it isn't designed or isn't told that it needs to hold the fill-type silo, it of course isn't going to work. So the next thing I tried was tractors. And as we all know, there was one front-end loader, and I figured, well, you know, they got the various implements here. There's a front-end shovel, and I figured, well, maybe it'll go in here. But you gotta read this really carefully. With the shovel, you can haul manure into the manure spreader. It isn't designed to have any other fill type. Not like, you know, in later versions of Farming Sim, you could put anything in here. You could haul fertilizer, seeds, wheat, manure, anything you wanted. But sure enough, when I go and look at the Giant's code for Farm Sim 11 for shovels, it only holds manure. I mean, it's just hard-coded in there. That's how they set it up, which is a little maddening, but at least, you know, it improved in later versions. So I learned that the hard way. Not only did I drive that other silly, you know, a wheel loader down there, I took this down there and figured out that it didn't work. Well, and kind of before I figured that out, I also took, let's see here, is there, dum-de-dum-de-dum. Okay, maybe there isn't one here. There is a, yeah, one of these. Okay, so the dude's front-end loader silage fork. Well, I figured, this is before I dove into the code. I figured out, okay, that other one works, you know, with manure. So this here says, well, with a front loader silage fork, you can heave silage from a bunker into the biogas bunker. Alright, so this must have been part of the DLC too. So I bought this, and I drove the tractor back, you know, to pick it up, took it to the BGA again, and it didn't work either. Now, maybe in the documentation for the map, it's all in there. I don't recall. At this point, I was just tinkering and likely running into all the same problems, you know, that others were having too. This doesn't work, and if this doesn't work, you know, the agri-vector shovel isn't going to work as manure, and it isn't going to work here because the fill type in here is expecting manure, and it's probably expecting the fill type silage in here, you know, which isn't going to work because Hetty's script is outputting the fill type silo. Alright, so then we turned to mods, and I discovered I was missing a mod, and wouldn't know it, you know, until needing to go and empty these bunkers. So, but I was looking all over the place, and fortunately, there are still a couple sites out there where they have some of these mods. So, one that I downloaded, which was also created by Hetty. Let me see if I can find it here. I think it's just called Silo Shovel or Silage Shovel. And maybe in the German language, does silo mean silage? That I don't know. Where is it? Here we go. Silo Shuffle. Yeah, so the script, also written by Hetty, this is specifically designed to work in conjunction with his BGA. So, when I put this mod in the folder, don't remember where I got it at this point. It's probably on Mod Hoster, I believe. Bought it, and I took it down there, and it works. And maybe, you know what, maybe I'll just do that. Let me get it here, and I'm going to hop out of here. Let me go to, oh, there's a blimp. Where's my front end loader? Is it on 1? Yes, sir. Alright, so I'm gonna gotta give it the old triple click because it always starts on the front end tool. Oops. yeah, this is my bale spike, you know, which I'm not trustworthy enough to use. So let me get beacons are rolling. And this tractor, by the way, just hauls. So it won't take us too long to head down over to the store to go pick up our silage shovel. But this one, I learned, finally did the trick. Now, what I'm hoping, you know, I did a whole bunch of tinkering, like I said, offline. And in the process, I ended up installing a different version of Eddie's BGA script. And this one here, like I mentioned earlier, adds a compaction, but it also adds something else. I think I was starting to say something on it and I got distracted. But it's either a function of time or it's random, but it is possible to lose your silage and it'll turn to manure instead of turning it into silage. But you know what? I mean, in this game, I don't think it's a total loss. Shoot, if it's manure, you can put it on your fields and, you know, get some fertilization value out of it. All right. Here we go. Goes to the standard front end loader, so we'll head over to the BGA. Yeah, looking both ways carefully. Alright, yeah, this sucker just moves. Wonder if it's that quick in real life. It must be. Can't see, can't see. There we go. So the shovel that we have, this one here, I think if you went up to a manure pile, it isn't going to do anything. It won't pick it up. I don't think, well, no, I take that back. I know on the Feldy map we had a wheel loader that you could put several things in its bucket. But for the most part, especially for the in-game items, you couldn't haul anything other than one fill type. But I don't know. We'd have to take it. I didn't test that. We'd have to go to a manure pile and see if it would work. So let me unblanket this. So we'll uncover by hitting enter, and this is what it does. It leaves a hard edge, so that looks pretty cool. It doesn't unblanket the whole thing, just like in real life, you start at the edges. Only this one here, it kind of starts for you, at least visually. So this now is, let me get rid of that, is designed, and I think no matter where you put this in here, as you can see, we picked it up 1,800 liters of silage or silo. Now, I also did my own tweaks to this. You'll notice the silo fill type in here looks very much like the silo. Oh shoot, you know, we're losing light, so it's getting dark in here, so it's a little hard to tell. But in the original, the way the mod author has it, it looks a little greener. So I opted to, and you'll probably see it here because the particle animation is probably going to look green. So yeah, see how that's a little bit green, but there we go. So we know that this this particular silage shovel works. Now, at some point, you know, I am kind of curious, so I think I do want to test it on manure to see if it works. But at 1,800 liters a pop, this is going to take a long time to empty. And this was some of the things that started going through my mind, you know, as I was like, woohoo, finally found a way to haul the silage, which was awesome. because getting it from one point to the other point, what's the point of putting it in the bunkers if you're not able to turn it into energy and get other materials? Because I think are we earning money as we do this? You know, I wasn't paying attention to that at 3:37:23, probably when I watched this back. I am curious too, is there anything that tells no, there isn't. Sometimes there will be, maybe it's a later, no, it isn't just later versions. There will be something that tells us, you know, yeah, here's where you get the slurry. I think sometimes, you know, when I went around back, maybe it was enter. Yeah. Alright, we're going to see if these controls are backwards the way I'm used to them. We're going to see if we earn money when we put it in the BGA. That's kind of how, I seem to recall the one for the DLC. That's how it works. So I want to see if that's how it works in here. Alright, watching closely to the 330. Not even over the top. Oops. Dump that in. No. It doesn't give us money, so interesting. You know, that's really curious, because I know there's a lot of people that have made a lot of money putting silage into here, and what appears is we don't earn money right away. So, you know, as part of all this, I was ripping the thing open and looking at the scripts in there to see how Hetty has it and anything else I could look at. I pulled it into the editor, you know, to see how things were set up, just to learn what I could. And there is another variable called power, and I wonder if there is some measure of kilowatt hours or something over time, you know, that it's measuring power output to see how much they pay you. So yeah, there's still a fair amount here we'll have to learn about Hetty's BGA. But for the moment, if there's anybody who still plays this version of the game, find the silo Stoffel or whatever it is that you've seen. There is a mod that allows you to scoop this stuff out and put it in there. Although, as I've observed, there is no money yet, so I hope there's some money at some point. And we'll see kind of how it is once we get it. So anyway, we all heard the alarm. Thank you so much for coming to watch us on good old Herlefeld. We have our work cut out for us. You know, actually, as we empty this, does it tell us how much is in here? No, it doesn't. You know, that's maybe something that could be added to the script. Is for it to tell us just how many liters are left. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. I will see you on the next one. Goodbye.